distinguished colleague and special guest, and fellow practitioners of the path of awakening. It is an honor to speak with you today on a theme that touched every aspect and core of our shared humanity, healing the power of the mind. In a time of rapid social change, psychological distress, and spiritual disintegration, we find ourselves yearning for not only for the external solution, but for inner compass to help us navigate this complexity of modern life. The Korean contemplative tradition, the concept of Maum, as you see here, offered such a compass. Maum refers not simply the mind as cognition, nor merely to heart as emotion. It signifies the integrated center of consciousness, intention, emotional life, and spiritual awareness. It is both personal and transpersonal, a place where self-reflection, compassion, and wisdom converge. Within this mind lies that Buddhist teaching called Buddha nature. Our original illuminate awareness that inherently whole and compassionate and capable of transformation. This Buddha nature symbolized in one Buddhism at the altar as a circle. As you see the circle, you see how powerful your mind is and how integrated your inborn wisdom called Buddha nature. While we explore how mind as a both meditative insight and practical framework can help us address contemporary challenges from trauma and addiction to social integration and disintegration by fostering personal healing and ethical renewal and collective transformation. The nature of mind and the ground of healing. Maum is a foundation for both Korean spiritual philosophy and a core of Buddhist psychology. Unlike Western dualistic model that separate mind from body, reason from emotion, Maum represents a holistic paradigm in which awareness, intention, and rational presence are inseparable. In one Buddhism, it says, mind creates everything. This statement points to the generative power of consciousness, that our inner state shapes not only our perception, but the ethical, relational quality of the world we live. From this perspective, healing is not simply the elevation of symptoms, but a return to inherent clarity and spaciousness of mind, like an open sky. That kind of huge space exists within each one of us. It is a reorientation from fragmentation to coalition, from reactivity to awareness. Contemplative practice such as mindfulness or seated meditation, or mindful breath or chanting serve as a gateway into this space. They allow individuals to witness the mind's patterns, calm the nervous system, and re-establish trust in the deeper ground way of being. Scientific and spiritual convergence. The recent advancement in neuroscience affirm that spiritual traditions have long taught the brain and the mind are adaptive and inherently capable of transformation. This is a power of cultivation, power of practice coming in to transform ourselves to become whole person, like a symbol here as Yewan-san, truth. Studies on mindfulness, compassion training, and meditation shows that measurable improvement in emotional regulation and measurable improvement in resilience and empathy and loving kindness and compassion. Functional MRI studies reveal that practice such as loving kindness meditation stimulate activity in the prefrontal cortex associated with the attention and decision making, and decrease activation in the center of a fear and threat response. This scientific insight echoes ancient teaching from Buddhist canon. All phenomena are perceived by the mind, governed by mind, and made by the mind. In essence, the quality of our consciousness becomes quality of our life. So our inner world shaping and reshaping our outer interaction in society and in the world. By extension, the cultural and social condition we are co-creating with this power of mind and this power of transformation. As we bridge the gap between contemplative wisdom and the empirical studies, we are witnessing the emergence of a new integrative paradigm, one that is honor both subjective inner experience and objective study, forming foundation of a holistic healing. Trauma, addiction, and spiritual wound, almost the most pressing psychological and public health concerns today are trauma and addictions. These conditions are often addressed through medical or behavioral models, which may rupture in one's connection to meaning and self-worth and belongings. From perspective of Maum and Buddha nature, healing begins not by fixing what's broken, but by remembering and reclaiming what has been forgotten, our intrinsic goodness and wholeness as a symbol of Yewan-san pointing. In my work with the individual facing addiction, grief, or emotional collapse, I have witnessed that true healing arises when people are seen as a fundamentally whole, invited back into this presence of their own dignity. Maum-centered practice offers safe and accessible doorway into process. Sorry. Through breathing, mindful awareness, meditation, and compassionate listening, and sacred ritual, we help restore the condition in which inner integration can occur. Our symptom we can address, that's important, but more importantly, we need to address the issue taking place in our mind and recognize that the symptom is not who you are, but there's a more deeper and intrinsic quality and goodness residing within that mind. This is not only psychological recovery, it is a return to spiritual integration. Using the power of your mind to heal is a key word today. One of the most transformative insights emerging from both spiritual tradition and modern science is that the mind holds the power to heal itself. Think about it. Your mind has that power to heal your mind. Healing is not something granted from outside. It is a process of awakening within. Whether one is recovering from trauma, or facing anxiety, or seeking deeper peace, the mind, when nurtured by awareness, compassion, and internal practice, can become a profound source of regeneration. In Korean contemplative thought, this generative and regenerative faculty is found within mind. The integrated field of thought, feelings, consciousness, and willpower. When we connect to Maum of this capacity, we do more than our thought or feelings. We touch the very source of coherence and transformation. In Buddhist terms, we return to this Buddha nature, that's the innate wisdom and intrinsic goodness. We were all born with it. So how powerful it is just knowing that we were born with it. So each one of you have this power within, just for you to be touched through mindful meditation, through all spiritual cultivations. In Buddhism, we return to our Buddha nature. We return to the whole part of who we are that is already complete, impartial, luminous, and unbroken beneath the surface of suffering or pain or uneasiness or something unsatisfaction we feel. Scientific research in neuroscience has shown that intentional practice, such as mindfulness and meditation, and practice of gratitude, compassion exercise, and cognitive reframing can physically reshape our mind. This is also very powerful understanding that we are born with a certain mind, but through our study, through our practice, through our cultivation, we can change our brain. We can rewire our brain. Because how we relate ourselves, how we practice ourselves, how we delve into this Buddha nature, we can rewire our brain and our mind. Physical reshaping of this mind or rewiring in our brain give us such a wisdom and motivation that how we spend our time daily shaping and reshaping to become who you are, truly who you are, like this. Daytime regulate stress response and increase emotional regulation and enhance resilience. This quality we need, especially in today's time, living in the United States. But spiritual tradition have a long taught this. The same mind that creates suffering also can liberate from it. So the capacity of a mind, it can bring difficult experience because of delusion, because of disturbance, because of unwise. thinking, and repetition. At the same time, we have the mind within, underneath of those negative experiences we see in society as well as in our world. That we have that kind of strong, powerful quality and capacity to deal with it and overcome it, and going back to the original state called our divine nature or Buddha nature. With a radical presence, we do not need to control or suppress what we feel, especially if negativity comes in. Instead, we allow the light of attention, loving kindness, and compassion gently illuminate what has been hidden or fragmented. This is the power of a compassionate mind, not to fix, but witness and embrace and regenerate and reintegrate. To awaken mind is to remember, to discover, to uncover, because we have that, all of us, but hidden by overthinking, delusion, or disturbance. But we just remember that. We are not broken. Even we suffer a lot in daily struggles. We are not powerless. Even we sometimes enter this kind of situation. But you are already whole. You are attaining this awakening to know who you are, to know the capacity you have within yourself. So this truth is deeply empowering. It reframes the healing not as a linear cure, but as a return to what has always been present within us, the clarity, courage, equanimity, wisdom, compassion of our awakened mind. So from inner awakening to collective responsibility, healing the mind is not just the personal, because of who you are, the quality of your life on earth is influencing and interconnecting all well-being around you. So your well-being is critical to my well-being, and that's why your healing mind is critical. It is not just a private endeavor. In our inner world, transformed, so too must our relationship with everyone we meet, everyone we engage, or society are living together and the world. Personal awakening naturally gives rise to collective responsibility. So your quality of cultivation and sometimes awakening that I am much more than what I thought I am. That kind of quality is influencing everyone you meet, and that is the way to transforming our collective psyche together. We are living in a time of global hyper-connectivity, and yet so many people suffer from loneliness, anxiety, and burnout. We are overloaded with data and information, but often disconnected from wisdom. We move fast, but seldom pause to ask, how am I doing at this time? Are you okay inside? Or where you are going, and why you're moving so fast like that. But Maum invites us to reclaim the power of serenity, power of stillness and presence, being here and now in the moment with yourself and with your own feelings and emotions. When we embody awakened mind, we become instrument of healing. You are not just healing yourself, but you become instrument of healing, tending and attending suffering of others around you. In this awareness, in this practice, in this recognition, it is not just a meditation hall like this room or a monastery, but we bring this kind of transformative energy and transformation of this mind itself to wherever we go. As a teacher, you bring it to the classroom, you bring it to your family, workplace, and any space you share in the world. So just as a ripple radiates outward from single drop, so too does influence of one centered mind, one compassionate, loving kindness, the Maum touch lives far beyond the self. So in conclusion, I want to invite you to consider this. The healing we seek here is not outside of us. It does not depend on status or perfection. It arises from your inward. So our journey is not out there, but our journey is just to turn inward and begin that powerful journey with yourself, called Maum. To the Maum, the sacred ground of healing, to the light of Buddha nature or divine nature or God nature, something much more powerful, something we need to really think about it and feel it sometime. So many people in the beginning of my English-speaking teaching, I cannot even imagine that I have that power within. Because always that we are not good enough. We are not doing enough. But in one Buddhism, in Buddhist tradition, we call that inward journey that you have the power within. You are everything you have within yourself. You don't have to go outside to look for when you seek happiness, enjoyment, presence, and compassion and loving kindness. It is arise from our mind that we just need to spend more time in silence, to listen inner voice, to be with our Buddha nature. In the beginning, if you don't understand, just believing in it. Just have a faith. It is identical information and knowledge. With the enlightened Buddha pointing, you are the one like this. You have this holistic being and your own Buddha nature here. But before we awaken to that sense of who we are, sometimes we need to believe in Dharma and practice it. So when you keep in touch with it, when you tap into the inner core of yourself, you feel, yes, this is the what Sote-san talked about. This is what we're pointing to the Iran-san. Let this gathering not just a moment of a learning and a new understanding, but a turning point. A moment when the pain becomes purpose, when science meets spirituality, when human mind remembers its capacity to heal, to awaken, and to serve. may each of us here not only informed, but transformed and awakened. May we walk forward with clarity, with presence, with compassion. May your mind and heart shine with equanimity, wisdom, and compassion over your true nature, here and now in the moment, and always. Thank you.